in his face, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then, right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now, Noah, we're just going to have a quick chat. The long search for the new manager of the Republic of Ireland men's soccer team is over there during the week. This Heimir Hallgrimsson, that's my pronunciation anyway, from Iceland. He was the manager of Iceland who got to the Euros in 2016 quarterfinals. They got to the World Cup in 2018. His last gig, he was over Jamaica. They got to the Copa America to qualify for that. Now, they didn't do well in it, but that's not his fault, I believe. He's been appointed. It's just a short enough term, but he's been appointed anyway. So, what are your thoughts on the new Irish manager? And maybe give a good pronunciation there.
Well, when I was actually driving in the car and I heard on the radio that at the 4 o'clock news we'll have an announcement of the new Republic of Ireland manager, and I felt I hadn't any inkling at all of who the name would be, but I always had a feeling it was going to be John O'Shea, that a bit like the women's team where we'll have this fiasco where it's interim manager and then in the end they'll give it to the person that's in situ. I have to say, when I was flicking through Twitter and I just happened to see the Ireland football account, a message from our new manager, I just clicked into it and I saw this face and this man and I said, I won't say what I said, but who is this guy? There was no inkling of any. I didn't recognize him. I didn't know him. I think a lot of Irish friends, and they've seen the interviews, Paul, and I said Irish friends, they have no idea who he was. So I think Kevin Doyle said he had to do a bit of Googling to find out who he was. So they caught everyone on the hot, Paul. They were on Wednesday. There was no inkling at all. I think it was just announced, and they did the photos in the secret location, and he signed the contract, and he was in the job. I have to say, Paul, I'm delighted it's over. The fiasco, we needed a manager. It was becoming ridiculous. Stephen Kenny left his role at the end of November. We all knew it was happening. We all knew that his contract was going to be run down, and the search for the new Republic manager would start. We've had from pretty much December the 1st to July nearly what we're now the 10th, and it was becoming a fiasco. We were told we would have a manager hopefully in by the time the Nations League draw happens. That was in February. That came and went. We were told then, due to contract negotiations, whatever, that there was someone that were lined up, but they were already in the job, and they would have to wait till April. April came and went. Then we were told later on in the year that the person that we were looking for, we can't apply him till September. So I saw the press conference. Mark Adam, director of football, was pushed in that numerous times. He said Heimir was their first choice all along. Now, he said he stuck to the process. And to be fair, on Heimir's side, he said, I think as early as March, that I think the FAI did give him a call. They asked him, was he interested? He said, I'm not discussing any other football job. I'm committed to Jamaica till the Copa America. Yeah, and to be fair, that's his position, Paul. He was with Jamaica. He was going to the Copa America. He wanted to do well for the team, and he wasn't just going to commit to anybody. So that's his position, and he was entitled to it. So the FAI, Willie Sanyal, Chris Coleman, Lee Carsley, all these names were been linked with the job, and the FAI say that he was the man that's in position that was always number one choice. I find that hard to believe, Paul, because based on what they said themselves in March and April, they're hoping to appoint a manager then. I think maybe someone, they said that they didn't offer any contract to anybody else. I don't know, can you take a word for that either? So it was a bit tetchy, the press conference. And to be fair, we're only going on what the FAI said themselves. They said that we're going to have this person in by April. Then they said, we're going to have to wait till September. And then before that, even the start there, they said they have a person.
Sorry, Josh, are you man now? What do you think can he bring to us from his experience, particularly with Iceland, but also with Jamaica? What do you think can he bring to the scenario? And do we have the players in Ireland? And let's be clear, I would put the Republic of Ireland now in the same boat as well, not Jamaica, but definitely Iceland in terms of quality young players coming through. And the results bear that up.
Well, just looking at the man who's in the position now, you're right. I think he's actually, with the way process where he got into the job, I think it's actually a good appointment. If you look at his record, Paul, it's as good as anyone that was linked with the job in the first place. It's definitely as good as Pyatt or Willie Sagnol's linked with the job, and other players like Lynn and maybe Carsey, who hasn't really managed the senior level. This man has. Got Iceland. It was joint manager, qualified him for the Euro 2016 in the first place. I think their first tournament. He got him to the quarterfinals, beating England. He took over Solskjaer's stay, as you correctly said. He qualified Iceland for the first ever World Cup in a very difficult group. I think they were in the group with Argentina and Nigeria, and I forget who else was in the group with them. Maybe I think Croatia actually, and very hard group of days. They're funny enough they got the points against Argentina, and I think lost the other two against. But to be fair for Iceland, it's an achievement in itself getting to the World Cup and being able to at least compete against those teams. He did go into club career in Qatar, and then he went to Jamaica and qualified them for the Copa America. So at international level, Paul, he's used to managing teams that maybe would from the outside be seen as limited. Iceland, the population of Cork, if I'm not mistaken. So to get a team like that to Euros and the World Cup in a space of 2 years, it's fantastic. Euro 2016 and the World Cup in Russia in 2018.
Sorry, no, for cutting across you. We know 95% of the Irish players are based in England. There's a couple of renewable, but in England. Will he have the name recognition to go in there and talk to the clubs and maybe get a few players, we'll call them, like the Granny Rule, like Jack Charlton did, and convince them to declare for the Republic of Ireland, younger players? And also, will be important what backroom staff he has to help him.
Yeah, I think your first point. I think he will, Paul, because he would have been known through the international tournaments that obviously we in Ireland probably didn't know much about him. But if people do their research, they say this is a man that's managed at international level. He managed two teams, Iceland and Jamaica. They know him from I suppose the famous one. They know him from beating England in 2016. Yeah. And look, he'll have probably good connections. He's the big point, Paul, is he said also in an interview in the press conference, he is willing to move to Ireland. So himself and his wife are going to be based here. And I think that's important as well. So he's going to be able to fly over and back between England to watch games in the Premier League and the Championship. And also he has said that Irish players, the continent is big. He said the Irish players shouldn't be afraid to go to Italy, to Spain, to other countries around Europe. And I think, Paul, that's something that's been starting already. You see Jacob Ryan, he's one of the best players in the French league. He's a centre back, and
even the talk now that he could be coming to the Premiership, but your point stands.
Yeah, my point says you could develop in Western Europe, and if the Premier League clubs come in, because they've got the money, you'll have a good education in Europe in terms of different tactics and stuff like that, and you could bring that into the Premier League. So look, it's a different avenue, but it's something that we have to think about, and it's something that I think he would encourage. We can't always be going to England, Paul, because there's the pool of players England have at their disposal in their clubs is massive. So we have to look further fields. And look, I wish him very well. I think he's been given an awful hospital pass, Paul, to be quite honest with you, because his first game is a competitive game. It's not even a friendly. He has to get to know all the players. He has to get his staff in. He has said he has been in contact with John O'Shea, and I said he would like John O'Shea to be part of his background team. Now, I don't know, Paul. I think John O'Shea would be very, very disappointed. I think John O'Shea would have had his eye on the job. He was probably seeing these 4 games as a chance as a practice, to show what he can do, and maybe get the job.
I come in there, Noel. If I was John O'Shea, I would only take up his role as an assistant or whatever the term is, but it'd have to be in my contract that when this fella steps away, that John O'Shea would automatically become the permanent manager. That's the only. If I was John O'Shea, that's the only way I would come in under in his setup.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Paul. I think John O'Shea be heartbroken during the week when he
was he being used? Was John O'Shea used by the FAI just to cover over and cover their backside, as the man says, from the bacon side of Port Mick McCaffrey, and now when they don't need him, they're just discarding him?
I think that could be a fair point, Paul. I think John O'Shea, he was passionate Irishman. He wanted the job. He got these 4. He initially was meant to be in there for 2 matches, and then they had to go back and ask him again. So he could have. I think he didn't initially say yes the second time, Paul. I think there was a bit of confusion. no, I'm up to correction that maybe he always suggested in the first place. But yeah, I think John O'Shea would probably feel he'll feel very disappointed, very sad that he felt like he's passionate about Irish football. He really wants to manage the team. You can see that clearly, and yeah,
Sorry,
the
no, I
whole
just thought of
process.
something. Sorry, no, for cutting across. I'm always cutting across your boot. When something comes into my head, I always have to say it because I forget about it again. We know the next Euros, the 2028 Europe, are in what we call the British Isles, and that's a geographical term. So it'll be hosted. Could that be one maybe for the John O'Shea could come in under with him, and the Humanities only there for the next 2 years, and then John O'Shea come in and hopefully have your team and have the structures right in and Ireland to qualify for that competition, which will be held, as I said, in the geographical term in these islands.
It could be something idea, Paul, but I like when you're used to being the number one man. I know it was like for 4 matches, and then you have to take a step back.
Yeah.
And let somebody else take the role, and you're there, not hanging around, but you're there. You know you're not the main man anymore. I think it's a very hard thing to get into your head. Like John O'Shea played for Manchester United. Let's not forget, he's used to being a winner. He's used to being in the top league, shall we say?
Yeah.
Playing with the best players in the league at the time. It was a pride by coming to as well, Paul, where he doesn't want to be seen as someone else's assistant, particularly when he had the gig himself. And I think that will really like that really would mess with his head. Like, am I speculating here now? He might just say, look, I've a good experience. I've had coaching. I think it's at Stoke. He's been coaching in England. He's had a chance with the interim manager in Ireland. He's learning all the time, Paul, because he's a very young coach, Paul.
Yeah.
And the more help he gets, the better for him. But I would say now he would want to be number one in the next role he had, and his hope was that he would be number one officially with Ireland.
Yeah.
And this is a setback for him, Paul. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Just back to your man Heimir, and I call him Heimir. Do we have does it matter that you have to have the players too? Like, is he just going to be looking after the senior team, or is the whole thing needs a restructuring? Because there is some good players starting to come through. Okay, with that, but would that be the big one for him as well?
But I think, Paul, you can only manage with the players you've got, and at international level, you've only got a certain amount of time with them. He said all right in the interviews that he's done, I want to get back to basics, being organised, being hard to beat. I didn't bring in a style after or his own imprint into the team. But first thing he said is that I want to get back to basics. And maybe under Kenny, it was too forward driven. Not because we will give away some cheap goals under Kenny. I think that was the big criticism under Kenny. We gave away some very cheap goals under him. And I think with this guy here, he knows his history has been with players that from the outside been seen as limited. And my God, our Irish teams in the past technically have been very limited over the last couple of years. When you see teams in Euros playing, even Slovakia, Georgia even, and we've beaten Georgia a few times, technically we don't seem to be able to pass the ball or get into rhythm as much as they do. So that's something that we need to improve on. But defensively, he said, we're going to start from the back, get defensively organised. He has said in his coaching staff he would like to keep on a few more, keep maybe some of the backroom stuff that John O'Shea had. Now, those coaches mightn't be available, they mightn't be able to commit to that. So he might have to bring in some of his own people. I think he wants a good mixture. I think he wants to keep the continuity well. Look, I wish him all the best. He has a massive job in his hands, but I do believe that our supporters will get behind it. The first game is against England. That's going to be a full house. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere in Lansdowne Road. It's going to be, I think, guaranteed whether England win the Euros or not. That's going to be a full house, Paul.
I can't wait when England win it to have Declan Rice, maybe Jack Grealish, and the English team will come out with the cup in Lansdowne Road. I wonder would Irish players give them a round of applause in the front of the pitch? What do you think?
I don't know, but I don't know. I know with your own. If we go to like a certain other sport, the GA team do that, all right, like that. Especially for your local rivals, would they be giving applauding?
Yeah, I'm slightly tongue in cheek when I say that. No,
I know what you mean. But look, there is that rivalry. But the English fans, if our England do win it on Sunday, I think the English fans are definitely going to let us know when they get into the Viva Stadium, Lansdowne Road. They're going to definitely let us know that they're European champions. So look, it's intriguing. It's going to be a massive game. It's something to look forward to. We have a big job. He's a big job in his hands. If you look at the
And
teams,
no, just a quick word. People are all talking about the English game. Do you know what? I won't say that's not important. That's, of course, incorrect. Which is the other two games against Greece and Finland, which are
Finland,
more
yeah.
slightly just ahead of us around our level. They are the ones that I'll really judge him. I take the English game and its merits, and you give it a best shot. Of course you do. Which will be the results and the performance against Greece and Finland will really, I think, would be a bigger indication in my opinion.